hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Mike here again. Boy, it's August, and the month is just flying by. We're going to continue this week with our Norway series. And first, we're going to hear from Jacob, one of the guides at Camp Halibut, and then we're going to visit with the other fellows that were on the trip that we haven't heard from yet. Nate Weise, as well as Neil McCullum, and of course, GT is going to be joining us for that segment. And that'll wrap up our time at Camp Halibut. We'll see if anybody caught a bigger halibut than Poppy's 161 centimeters on the last day of fishing. But lots of other exciting stuff happening right now, too. Caitlin's got a great elk tag. So September 1st, we're going to start doing that. And we're just kind of getting excited as hunting season gets closer, starting to get the first of the trail cam pictures from the Outdoor Rules East guys. Matt and Mark are getting ready for the upcoming archery deer season there as well. So busy August and lots to come from an Outdoor Rules standpoint. But for now, I hope you'll enjoy this week's episode as we take a turn towards the last half of the Norway series. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you at the end of the episode. Here we go. Hi, everybody. We are finished now with our week at Camp Halibut, and it's been quite a week. And fortunate enough that one of our guides, Jacob, has kindly agreed to sit down and talk for a few minutes. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Jacob. I'm from Denmark. I'm working as a guide at Camp Halibut. This is my first season working here. Last year I was here as an intern, so yeah. Yeah, Jacob, one of the things I like about your story and kind of, I'm sure you don't listen to the podcast, but it's kind of, our podcast is family focused on outdoor stuff. So obviously, as you well know, we brought a couple kids with us. Yeah.
I've heard that Robert was the youngest guest.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In the camp's history.
Could be, probably.
But you kind of have a backstory with Camp Halibut too, right?
Yeah, I used to come here fishing with my dad before I started working here as a guide. So that's how I sort of got into becoming a guide and figure out that it was like a career option, I guess. Right. And how many times did you and your dad come here to fish? I think 3 times before I started working. Yeah. Very nice. It's you guys, the guides and everybody here have been so great about getting us around and showing us lots of different places. You get a sense for it. Yeah. And part of your path here, right? So all the other guides here, kind of everybody else associated working with the camp is from Sweden, correct? Yes. You're the only one from Denmark. The only one not from Sweden. Yeah. But there is a kind of a guide school, is that right? Yeah, so almost all the guides, including Daniel and Alex, went to a guiding school in Sweden called Forshaga Academy. It's a pretty renowned, pretty well-established school in like the sport fishing industry in Sweden and Norway. So a lot of the people that work in also other camps in Norway have gone to this school. Mm-hmm. And it's probably one of the reasons why there's a lot of Swedish guides in Norway. Yeah. It's interesting because we were talking about it. We can't really think of a comparable thing in the States. No, it's pretty unique. I think even in the rest of Europe, there's not really anything like it. I know there's some guiding programs in the States, but they're much shorter, mm-hmm. and they're much more guiding focused. This school is, it's guiding is just one part of it. There's also working as a salesman and like starting a guiding business. So it's a little bit larger and
Yeah.
It's more like a trade school than like a course, like it might be in the States.
That's really interesting. And I would imagine you probably don't encounter any Americans in the program here, do you?
No, it's also the education is in Swedish, so it's quite
Be
difficult
hard.
for people outside of Scandinavia. Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of Americans that speak Swedish.
No.
No. So, like you said, you've worked here for a season and you did an internship before that, and you were a guest here a number of times. Can you just kind of take us through the season here at Camp Halibut, when it starts, what you fish for at the beginning, sort of on through all the way until you close
absolutely. Up? The season starts in late February, early March, and in that it's like the spring season before April 20th. April 20th is when the halibut season starts.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, the fishing is focused around the scray cod, which is it's a group of cod that is the exact same species as the one that lives inshore. But this one lives pelagic, so it lives on very, very deep water, far offshore. And then in March and February, and a little bit in April, they come in to spawn in the shallow bays. And the thing that's interesting about them is that they grow very, very big, and they are very powerful. So it's a very interesting phenomenon, because it's the only time of the year you can realistically fish on them. Otherwise, they're so spread out and they're so far offshore and just so hard to locate that.
And when you say big, how big is a big one?
The camp bracket is just shy of 40 kilo on 39.9. Yeah.
So that's almost 90 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a big fish.
That's a really, really big fish.
I'd like to see one of those someday.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the halibut season starts in April.
Yes. The halibut season starts on April 20th. And the first 1.5 months of halibut fishing is really focused around fishing for really, really big halibut. This time of year is a little bit slow fishing compared to now, but if you want to fish over 220 pounds, this is the time of year to go.
Yeah.
It's a special time of the year.
Do you know what the camp record is for halibut and when it was caught?
It's 253 centimeters, and it was caught in May.
What 253 centimeters would probably be like in the 200 kilogram class?
Yeah, close to that at least. It's 100 inches, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, something around 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Probably.
Very, very big fish.
That is a very, very big fish. It's amazing. We caught one this week at 161 and another, I think, at 158 or something. Yeah. And just to look at that fish and think that weight-wise, they can get 3 times that big.
Yeah, it's a unique fish that can grow so big.
It's kind of humbling. I mean, kind of humbling to be out there and think, for me anyway, to be thinking like, man, if I hooked a halibut, 150 kilo halibut, like, I don't know that I'm tough enough to get it to the boat.
Yeah, most don't come up. So.
Right. So then basically that's late April through.
Really May is the month for big fish, and late April can also be, very good. The weather is quite rough in that time of year, so
right. And you do one of the things I think I wasn't really thinking about in coming here, like I knew it, but I wasn't really thinking about it. Is even now we're almost to August, and you still have 24 hours of daylight.
That
starts quite early, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when it starts, but it starts like in early May.
Mm-hmm.
And this, the sun starts to up to down, and you just have like a sunset for a really, really long time, and then suddenly it's sunrise.
Right.
So it's pretty unique, and it allows us to fish whenever the weather is good.
Right.
So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm absolutely been blown away by. I mean, a couple of things. One, you all, the guides, your willingness to just fish.
Yeah.
Fish and fish and fish.
Yeah. We're here to go on the water, so of course, when we have the opportunity to do so, we want to be out there. And,
it shows, which is great. But then kind of what comes with that and all this daylight is that the times don't really mean much. It's about what the weather's going to do. It's about what the tides are going to be like.
Yeah.
And so it's, if one day you go out at noon, but then you fish till midnight.
Yeah, exactly.
The next day it might be, weather's going to get bad in the afternoon. We need to get out. We'll go out at 7 and try to get a 10-hour day in before the weather gets us.
Yeah, it's super nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. It's a real benefit to having all this daylight. But I will say that I never thought that I would miss it getting dark. I'm a little bit looking forward to getting back to the States. And
yeah, it's nice when the sun starts to go down. You get some day rhythm back.
Right. Sleeping while it's dark is a luxury, it turns out. So then once you're through that kind of really focused on big fish part of the year in June.
I would say sort of midway through June, you start to have you can notice some bait fish coming up on the shallow water, like sand eel, and sand eel and herring. The herring start to show up a little bit later. And then the halibut will start to become more active as I think the water temperature rises, and you have some more halibut on the shallow water, and it feels like the fishing is just heating up a little bit in terms of numbers. It does become hard, you don't really get the really big fish after May. But also in June can be good, but late June and July is really more numbers focused, and you still get some good fish like we've done this week. But
I think we were counting. I think we've had somewhere between 16 and 18 halibut this week.
That's a pretty good week.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
and then you also have a lot of other fishing opportunities mixed in
June and July and August. It's really good for a variety of different things. The redfish fishing is very good. The plaice fishing is really good also. Cod, of course, you can always find, especially on the big reef. And
you can catch cod. I don't know. We were talking about that today. I think we had them up to 10 or a little bigger kilos.
Oh, last week we had them over 40 pounds, 45 pounds.
Yeah, over 20 kilos.
Yeah, exactly.
Big fish.
So there's a lot of big cod around. It's just they are more scattered than in the scray season. So it's harder to it's harder to fish for them basically.
Right. And the redfish, we talk a little bit about it with the other guys, but they're deep water.
Yeah.
They're what we think of as a rockfish, like in Alaska. They'd
they're different species, but they look similar, and I guess they behave kind of similarly.
Yeah.
We have two different species of them in Norway. One of them can grow quite big, and it lives much deeper than the other species, and it's the one we mostly focus on. That one lives generally we fish on it at least generally between 250 and 300 meters. And
you caught the camp record.
Yeah, last week. I didn't, but I guess caught it when I was guiding.
Right.
So that's a pretty nice fish to guide.
Yeah. How big was that one?
9.855 kilo.
Wow. So over 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And most of the ones we caught, we went out and fished them one day this week, and we caught more than 20 fish between the two boats. I think they were like probably 2 to 3 kilos, most of them.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bigger.
That's around the average size.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of big fish, but it's hard to catch them, I think.
Yeah. Very nice fish to eat.
Yeah, super delicious.
3 kilo fish is a really nice fish for sure. And then you mentioned plaice. They're kind of a flounder species, a small flatfish species.
Exactly. Yeah. It's for a lot of people in Scandinavia and the UK, it's a very important sport fish because it's something that probably, if you're from Denmark or Sweden or the UK, you fished for it all your life. And here it gets about 3 times bigger.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people want to catch it here.
Right. We where we're from, or where I grew up on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, is close to a lot of places that we flounder fish.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing when I look at a plaice rig. It's like, oh, that's just it's really a slight variation on the same rig that we flounder fish with.
Yeah.
And the approach is almost the same, just drifting.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Yeah. Very, very cool fish, and we didn't catch any big ones, but we caught a few.
Yeah, they're very delicious also. So
yeah,
the small ones are good.
Very striking fish in terms of the bright orange spots, like a flounder with like kind of a more round flounder with a small mouth.
Yeah.
So you have to be, it's very, very finesse focused, because you got to manage to get a small hook into their mouth. Yeah. But then they have really striking orange spots.
Oh yeah, it's a cool fish.
Yeah, really cool fish. And then as the season goes on,
and so in August and September, you really start to get August, September, and October is sort of where you start to get more halibut on shallow water. The sand eel come into shallow water, and obviously in September, October, the water temperature drops. So it seems like the slightly bigger fish might come up on the shallows. And it's August and September. Generally, we do a lot of spin fishing on shallow water for halibut, and we kind of fish the same kind of areas we fished. And it's more kind of numbers, but still you can get bigger fish on shallow waters.
Right. And when you say spin fishing, you mean using a spinning rod to throw?
Exactly.
Yeah, to throw big jigs.
Casting like 150-gram jigs, 100-gram jigs to halibut. Yeah.
It's a little bit akin to musky fishing in the United States, where it's like a big heavy rod, a big heavy lure, and you make a lot of casts.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very similar to, like, a lot of people fish halibut with pike fishing gear from Sweden. So it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
It's very, very similar in feel, I think. And then the big halibut late in the season again, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They kind of
late September and October is a little bit special because you can catch really big fish on shallow waters. But it's a difficult time of year to fish because the weather can be super rough. So generally you have to stay pretty close to land.
Yeah. And then you close up camp mid-October.
Yeah, we have the last guests leaving October 13th, and then the camp probably takes about a month to close it down and make it ready for the winter.
Probably starting to be pretty dark by mid-October.
The amount of sunlight decreases very rapidly in mid-October.
You lose like 20 minutes a day or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
you pay for all the sunshine you get in the summer somewhere. If you were going back to being a guest here,
yes,
and you had to pick 1 week to be here, what would you pick?
For me, it's about the big halibut, so I would come a week after full moon in May.
Week after full moon in May.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or I would come late in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. This fall fishing is special because you can catch so big fish on shallow water.
Yeah. It's been very clear to us with you and the other guides how much you revere the halibut with how you handle them and a lot of respect for the fish and getting those big ones back in the water. So it's clear that you all, I'm sure there's probably a little bit of competition among the guides for catching big halibut, but you love those fish for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. We take great care. We at least try to take great care of the halibut. It's incredibly important sport fish for us.
Yep.
And if we don't protect it, there will not be a Camp Halibut in the future.
Right.
So
yeah, it's a conservation ethic around halibut here for sure, and that's great to see. I don't know. Is there, I guess, anything, somebody that was thinking about coming to the camp, sort of anything you think people should know before they come? Any kind of stuff that you really think it's important for people to bring?
I don't really know if there's something specific like that, but the main thing is always, if you want to have a good trip anywhere you go, is coming with the right expectations.
Yep.
And if you come here to experience Norway and come here to hopefully catch a halibut, then you will have a great time. But if you come and expect to catch 100 big halibut a day, then you will probably not have a good time. So
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we've really enjoyed it. We've had some periods of really great fishing and some periods of grinding it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just
that's halibut fishing.
I think it's fishing in general, right?
Yeah.
And it's I think too, that the one boat one day had 8 halibut.
Yeah.
And the slow times put in perspective how special those moments are, right? I mean,
yeah. You can also, I think you can feel it on most of the guides when you're out with them, that if you're in a good period, the guides will be much more active. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we noticed that for sure. Scandinavians are not the most emotive kind of folks, but the halibuts start to bite. Yes.
Then it changes.
Right. No, this is we've really enjoyed the week here. It's been super fun, and I wanted to express my gratitude because we brought my 6-year-old, and then we mentioned that he's very young, but he spent 5 solid days out on the boats. But you all were very accommodating, and I really appreciate that. So
that's good. It's great that we can have people, young children, also have a good time here.
Yeah. Yep. As long as they're and the guide boat, the big guide boat,
it's very comfortable.
Yes, very, very helpful for kids.
Yeah.
I know that's not really what it's set up for, but we found it to be.
But it is a boat that makes it possible to have a lot more guests that are not so used to being on the sea,
right?
Which is super nice. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast and for the week of fishing.
Great guests.
Oh, I appreciate it. I hope it's always interesting, coming to another place with different customs and everything, and being worried that you're going to be doing the wrong things and not know it. But it's been a great week, and hopefully we didn't mess up too much.
No, it was good. It was very nice. We had good fishing, good weather, everything was right. Nice. Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you as well.
All right, everybody, we're back. It's official. The last boat is in from fishing. The final Norway fishing adventure has wrapped up mostly, which we'll get to. Wrapped up for almost all of us. So I'm here with one familiar voice. Say hi, GT.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah. And then 2 folks that have not been on the podcast before. Introduce yourselves, guys.
Nate Weise from Idaho.
Neil McCullum from Chicago and cousin to Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, so Neil is one of Tim's nephews and sort of flew in from all over the place for this adventure. The crew came from Pennsylvania, New Mexico, Idaho, and Illinois. So pretty good representation. So I spent a little while earlier talking to Dad and Zach and Robert, kind of just about all the different fish that we were fishing for and the kinds of fishing that we were doing. We don't really have to go cover that again, but I don't know. What I think I wanted from you guys is, really different perspectives, I think, particularly like between Nate and Neil. I mean, Nate just touched a little bit on kind of, one, what you do for work, although, we don't have to go crazy in depth, but then kind of, how you spend your time when you're not working.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think, I grew up wishing that I had a swimming pool in my backyard so I could fish in it. And, now I'm living a dream as a fish biologist for 20 years with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, so we fish a lot.
Right.
I think you were asking maybe 30 days a year in a boat with the kids. That's probably just with the kids, and then a lot more than that. So a lot of guided trips. In fact, I'm excited coming here. I was kind of like, I'm kind of done with guided fishing trips. More so because we've talked about over the trip is a lot of guided trips I've been on, you go out, it's a 4-hour trip or an 8-hour trip, and you kind of leave feeling like, okay, well, man, I want to be on the water a little bit longer. That was not the case here in Norway.
Yeah, you're like counting minutes, how long it takes to get onto the boat and how far you're going until you start fishing, because they're going to, theoretically, they might leave the dock at 8 a.m. if that's what they say they're going to do, but they might be a little late, but they'll definitely be back at 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody, not 100% of the, I've fished with a few, I've had a few experiences that were better than that. One time where we were trolling offshore in North Carolina, and the marina was calling the captain, asking him where he was, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to reply to that radio call." But mostly, I think, you get that.
It's a business. I get it. You got to make some money, and the guide's got to have a life. Here in Norway, these guys are the fishiest fishermen I've ever seen.
Yeah,
they fish. This morning, he said, hey, we only want to take one boat. And our poor guide, Oscar, it was like we ruined his life.
Yeah.
He looked at us like, you've got to be kidding me. We are not going fishing after we came off a 17-hour day the day before.
Right.
Well, that's probably because his alternative to taking you out fishing is cleaning the fish cleaning room,
Or building that renovation.
Or building the renovation, yeah. It's like it's punishment. They get punishment for not fishing.
But they like to fish.
Yeah.
Hands down, these guys are the most dedicated and passionate guides I've ever met. So
right, and
special.
Then Nate, you're a Wisconsin native, totally 100% grew up in the outdoor tradition, hunting, fishing.
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest, and tons out, fishing, hunting, opportunities. Reminds me some of here. My brother lives in Alaska now. This reminds me a lot of Alaska. Mm-hmm. But our fishing guides were from Sweden, Denmark, Scandinavian countries, but they know ice fishing. They know similar species.
Yeah,
and then this fishing in the ocean.
Alex, I should have told you that he was showing me pictures of ice fishing for the European perch.
Oh wow,
man, yeah,
they grow bigger here.
Real big.
Way bigger.
Yeah. And then Neil, kind of a little bit of contrast there, right, with you and...
Yeah, certainly. I'm the city slicker that, was fortunate to tag along with the, leading fish specialists of the United States, the true experts, and, appreciate the invite. But from my point of view, it's, I'm coming out here to kind of do like a once-in-a-lifetime fishing expedition. I would love to come back. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get my wife to approve another trip out here, but from my point of view, it's, I wanted to chase the big fish and, get to experience that one time, and we did. And I think overall, it was something to kind of check off the list. And
you didn't really grow up with the same amount of opportunity outdoor-wise, fishing-wise, as like Nate and I did.
No. I mean, I was lucky to go to the to the suburban fish farm, with my grade school friends. No one was really an outdoorsman in my family. It was kind of
particularly not
peer-driven. Tim exposed me, I'd say, gosh, probably right around the time I started getting into it with my grade school friends. So thanks for that. But, it's kind of, one of my few real opportunities to kind of get out of the city and, experience something that's a lot more natural, a lot more, peaceful. And again, I'd almost meditate here if I meditated, but I don't meditate. So,
well, I'll tell you what, you fished a lot of hours this week.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was meditating when he lost that fish yesterday.
No.
Yeah. The emotions kind of go up and down around the halibut. Yeah. When I hooked the bottom, though, I was pretty excited.
I did hear that. Yeah. Not only did you hook it, I heard you fought it for a little while.
Yeah.
Neil hooked a fish that fish, and the guide even said this, never knew it was hooked.
Oh, yeah.
With a 100-pound braid running behind it, that fish never even came off the bottom and just went.
Yeah.
And it went and went and went and went and dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged. Neil never made an inch.
Oh, man.
And it ran across the rocks on its way down. And now it came off of, 25 meters, ran into a 50-meter hole, and ran them right through the rocks.
Yeah.
Part of the line.
That's part of fishing, too. I got a story to tell where that fish will get bigger every year now. Every time I tell that story. So
I'll tell you what.
It's gotten bigger every day.
That was a fish.
That's the thing. Up here, it's possible to hook into one 300-plus pounds.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it was that big, but I'm just saying, these fish are just incredible.
It's got a pink sinker hooked to it, so if you find it.
If anybody's up here fishing around Sørøya, Norway, and catches a
1,000-gram pink sinker.
Big halibut with a pink sinker, please call us.
Call Neil. He'd like to know how big it was.
Exactly.
Let me just know what it was. Yeah.
But no, I think it's been really fun to spend this time with both you, Neil, that haven't done as much of this because you've never been to Alaska halibut fishing, right?
No.
This was your first halibut fishing experience. Most of the rest of us have some experience, but then contrast that with Nate, who's fished all over the place, and I just kind of equally enjoyable spending time with everybody and a lot of fun. This was a really good crew in the end. What do you think, GT?
I think it was a good trip.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and I tried not to get overly, high expectations on any front, from accommodations to the experience. But the weather's been great. I mean, they said today, we were out on the boat today, and Jacob said that, he's had 1 or 2 days like this.
Oh, yeah.
Where the water was this calm.
Yeah.
Which
maybe doesn't necessarily equal good fishing.
I think there's some truth in that, because we caught the most fish on the rainiest, mistiest, foggiest day of the week.
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit when I was talking to Dad and Zach about what we did every day, but I don't think I mentioned that there was one morning where we wanted to get to that halibut spot, and we started out there, and they turned around because they were like, no, it's too rough. We're not going to get over there. It's supposed to lay down. We'll fish close. We'll mess around here a little bit, and then we'll try it later in the day. Sure enough, it settled down enough for us to go over there, and then that was the best day, bar none.
Yeah, and when you say rough enough that my 13-year-old daughter Emerson puked over the side.
Right.
It was rough.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It was bumpy, for sure. And we didn't go far.
No.
Yeah, we sort of barely made it out of the fjord, and then thought better of the whole lot. Well, we didn't. The guides did.
And it now it's always when you go on a trip like this, you don't know what to expect. And now you come here, and this reminds me so much of fishing muskies in northern Wisconsin. That's exactly what it is. We are after a fish.
Right.
The one Neil lost. Sorry, but we caught it, right? You caught 161 centimeter halibut. That's a legit fish for here. They get way bigger.
Oh yeah.
But that you were fishing for 6 days straight with 2 boats, 12 to 14 hours a day, minimum a day. That's what you were looking for.
When we were halibut fishing.
When you were halibut.
I mean, if we wanted to catch redfish, we could have gone out because we had the weather for it. We could have gone out any day and loaded a boat as long as your shoulder would stand up to cranking 2 pounds of lead up 1,000 feet.
But when they turned on, that was when, it was GT and Neil and I in the boat. The next thing you know, we had 8 of them.
Yeah.
In the boat.
Right.
So just like that, it's,
I think it's so representative of how hunting and fishing is, and you get that flavor of you grind it out for a week, and then really even in that day when you caught 8, it wasn't even like that the fishing was great the whole day. I mean, it was good for a relatively long period of time, but there were some slow times in there too, right?
We had to retie.
Yeah.
You're baiting the lure. You're not catching anything. But yeah.
But I mean, you contrast basically that reasonably short window of time when it was really good with the rest of the week when, the fish were there, and if you fish for them, you get a bite every 4, 5, 6 hours, but that one day is just amazing. And I don't know, I kind of feel like that's the stuff that drives me to be out there and stay out there, because you're just there when the right tide and the right weather and, whatever else comes together, all of a sudden it's like all the fish that are down there are hungry.
Yeah, and I don't think we got a feel to, and maybe this is the fish biologist side of me. Normally it's like, okay, you start dialing in. You're like, okay, this is how it runs. And granted, we're here all week, so we're going to fish every day, one way or another. And we're asking the guys, what should we do today? And they're trying to give us the best advice they can for what we want to do to tailor. But, still there was a lot of mystery to this. And I think the tides running through the different fjords that you have makes them more confusing than normal tides.
Right.
They don't operate the same way. You're looking over the shoulder of the guide and you're seeing tons of spots. I mean, spots fish were caught over the year, over the summer, over the years. We're on fish. It's just what's triggering them.
Yeah. And,
still a bit mysterious.
I would say it surprises me here that the tides aren't bigger. They're not very dramatic tides. And so, I think watching the GPS, I think about a half a knot was the fastest that we were ever drifting with the tide, maybe a little faster than that. Compare that to Alaska. I think there's probably a lot of places where you're going 3 or 4 knots just with the tide. And so, things seemed a little more subtle to me. Sometimes it was really kind of like you're saying, it was hard to tell which direction things were even moving.
I thought it was interesting. I felt like fishing for halibut here was completely different than Alaska. First of all, mostly in much shallower water, right? And you don't feel as much, at 500 feet down as you do at 100 feet down. And, so it was more of a stalking game. And, I felt like when they were taking bites and how you had to had to pace yourself to set the hook.
Right. The terminal tackle, I think, is the same, a weight and a leader and a big circle hook. And then and a chunk of bait.
Yeah, we used a lot longer leaders than I'm used to, and I wasn't exactly sure why. But we're thinking meters here, but they were getting close to 2.5, 3 meters. 10 foot of line hanging behind a weight.
Right.
But yeah, and I agree too. It's great. It's really fun fishing in shallower water. I mean, we're fishing 20 meters, so 60 feet to 40 meters.
Yep.
Maybe 120 feet. Yeah, lighter weights and more to it.
Right.
And I would say I'm still super impressed with they make their own rods here. Well, make their own rods. They've designed a rod, Camp Halibut rod, that is, from my impression, incredible.
Yeah.
And that's from coming fishing white sturgeon and some halibut, but just the power of that rod to me is incredible. Once it's lined up correctly and it's very sensitive. I mean, we're using the same rod to catch basically little redfish that are 5-pound specimens, all the way to hundreds of pounds of halibut.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I caught 2-pound fish on that, and I hooked the sea floor, which arguably is the
It held the boat up.
Just let it go, Neil. Let it go.
Hooked and fun.
But like you kind of feel them, and certainly you don't break a rod on the sea floor, and that's a very good design and engineered rod. So.
Yeah. So I guess I'd ask each of you. I mean, what was the best thing about the week? Like,
the best thing for me was watching Emerson rally after getting seasick. So she was feeling a little seasick all week here and there, but never got to the point of the day that we caught all the halibut. So I think that was the 4th day, right?
Yeah.
And so we'd already been out a bunch. She gets super seasick. She threw up over the side of the boat. And then she reconvened herself and managed to catch a wolffish, which she was extremely excited about because, Mike, you had talked about, like, I want to catch a wolffish. And he never did.
Right.
Which is, you can come back.
Yeah.
But for Emerson to do that by herself, and she was pretty proud of, like, I caught this wolffish, and we had a ton of pictures of her, posing like a wolffish. So
right.
It was really
cool. For me, it's obvious that catching 8 halibut in a boat's a great thing, but reflecting back on the whole experience, the whole week, kind of seeing everyone work together in this kind of harmony of, experts and novices and catching fish and, preparing things, some planned, some spontaneous. And it kind of all worked out, using a broken down vacuum sealing, thing that's probably contaminated with at least 4 types of bacteria. Like, I don't know, we just made it all work, It's kind of a nice little harmony, I'd say.
I think for me, it's the time with Robert that was really special.
Yeah.
He's just, God, he's got the bug.
He really
I mean,
does.
A 6-year-old, we're sitting in a boat. I mean, I have never fished this much in my whole life in a week.
Yeah.
And he sat there and played the game the whole way through and stayed on those boats and never said, I want to go back.
No.
None of it.
I mean, I think it's fair to say we averaged 13 or 14 hours a day on the boat. I mean, for the first 5 days. Today we didn't go, and you guys had a shorter day, but
a short day, as in I was only 10 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Flew by.
Yeah, it's just a short 10-hour day.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, one, Nate, I really appreciate that you brought Emerson and that you were so helpful with Robert. I mean, there were days I even, because of the way boats worked out, that you and Emmy and GT went out on the big boat, and I just sent Robert with you guys. And then the day of redfish fishing, I thought was especially fun, not because I really enjoyed cranking fish up from 1,000 feet, but because Emerson and Robert could really contribute and do it. And Emmy's an accomplished fisherwoman in her own right already, but you guys were trying to help get Robert hookups and have him turn the handle, and it really worked out. It was quite a lot of fun, and to watch Robert crank one all the way up by himself, that was a big proud dad moment for me for sure. So anything just kind of round robin, anything that you would do different? Let's just say you were going to come back here, Neil. You mentioned the vacuum sealer. I think we've all talked about that. We would probably try between all of us to figure out how to bring our own vacuum sealer.
Yeah, that would be worth paying an extra $150 to bring as its own bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and petition, United Airlines to get direct flights to Tromsø. That would be amazing.
Well, maybe next time you could just charter us a flight right to Hasvik.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
One thing that surprised me, I never took out of our bags, was we brought pretty nice rain gear. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, we're going to be wearing this stuff. And the survival, whatever they call them,
they call them flotation suits if you're looking at their website.
Yeah, the flotation suits they provided are like a Gore-Tex / neoprene inner liner, like a snowmobile suit. Mm-hmm. Those really worked well. And so Emerson and I never brought out our, real nice, what I thought real nice, Gore-Tex rain gear. And some of you guys did, but that was wouldn't have needed it. Honestly, I would have rent that suit. It's the gear you need here.
Yeah, and I think the suit rental was $60 or something.
Yeah,
it was
worth every dollar.
Right, like best value of the whole trip almost. Because when you catch a big halibut, they want you, to hold it, and they more or less want you. They more or less want the halibut on top of you, and so you're going to be just covered in fish slime if you're holding, And not to be crass, but I'd rather cover somebody else's clothing in fish slime, than do that to my own stuff and then have to figure out how to pack it and get it home. So
that's the situation I'm in.
I know.
Denise, I was talking to Denise a little while ago, and she said, "So you're going to get your clothes? Is there a laundry at the place you're staying on the way back so that you can get all your laundry done?" I said, "No. I'm just sealing that suitcase up until I get home."
Yeah,
with all its fish slime.
Right.
No, I really enjoy. So the float suit was fantastic, and I think obviously you talked about sealers. We didn't have enough knives. That surprised me.
Yeah.
You need more fillet knives if you're going to keep fish, and then some way to process them. I was surprised too that this is not like an ice culture. Like it's far ice on fish. So everywhere else I have fish, we always throwing ice on the fish. It's a cold climate here, but I can also see this midsummer time. That's a long time to keep fish on totes
on deck.
Yeah, but that's how they do it, and the fish we had in camp was fantastic.
So. Yeah, I agree. There were little things here and there like that, but boy, all in all,
do you know what I would do differently?
What would you do differently?
I would can the whole idea of bringing fish home.
Yeah,
I would just go fishing and enjoy it. Pack about half as much as we packed to come out here. And just fish, and then eat the fish that we catch, and just do, the whole getting it home and all that other stuff is still a pain, and it still has more storyline.
Oh yeah, we're not done. It's not home yet. We're not anywhere near done with that. We'll only just start the hard part of it tomorrow.
Right.
This has all been easy up to now.
That's how I like to end a vacation, with the hard part.
I think you make a great point, GT. That was one thing that I didn't quite realize is the culture in Alaska is we catch and keep halibut.
Yeah,
that's the Alaska from what I've been, and that's short experience. But here, that's not the case. This really reminds me of musky fish in Wisconsin. This is we grow big halibut, and we're here to try to catch the biggest of the big. We'll let you keep one if you really want to, but the camp itself imposes its own restrictions on you, and that's this real restrictive size. We're going to keep kind of an eater-sized halibut, but that I think was 84 to 130 centimeters. That's in your 20 to 30, 40-pound range. But then on top of that, it's like, hey, and you can keep one per week,
right?
Or one per person. So it's really not. It's a catch and release culture. I did like that, and I think, like, to your point, like, no, you can just come up here and fish halibut. And some other species, some other species, especially in a deep water, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah,
you're going to keep them. You're blowing the eyeballs out of cod at 60 meters. I mean, I'm not feeding seagulls, so
right.
They're coming back to camp with us.
Yeah, I mean, that was that was a little bit of a challenge. Honestly, almost kept me from wanting to go back onto the reef because, we caught some bycatch and some fish that are, good. At least some people like them, like the ling. We caught 3 of those, and we talked about that earlier with Dad and Zach. But, they were basically like, no, you can't put that back. Like, basically once you boat them, they die. And, once you bring them up to the surface, they're going to die. So we got to keep them. Well, I mean, those were 3 big fish. It was a lot of meat. And it was like, well, I don't want to go out there. We weren't targeting them when we caught them. And I kind of felt a little bit like, well, gosh, I don't want another, whatever those things were. I don't know how much they weighed, 20 kilos.
20 kilo ling, yeah.
Yeah, that we got to keep. So, anyway, that was, I mean, I guess I think kind of like what you're saying. If I came back, I think I would come back to target halibut, and maybe spend a day out for redfish to get,
camp dinner or something. I mean, I think what GT's saying makes some sense.
Yeah.
Just plan it. Maybe you don't take any fish home.
Yeah, well,
eat fish here.
Right. It's hard, I mean, it's hard for me. I guess for me, I really want to share this with the rest of the family somehow and with some friends and stuff. And, that's a real tangible way to do it. But.
Well, it's just, and that's been the culture. That's been your life.
Right.
Right. Your family, the way you grew up, that family celebrated around the catch, the hunt, so forth. So it makes total sense, that you kind of want to play it that way. It's just way more challenging here, to come if you're coming with the attitude of I'm going to bring home a whole pile of halibut, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Because the biggest kind of the upper end of what you can keep is going to be 150 pounder.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and that's going to yield.
GT and Neil are more businessmen. We're fishermen. So
right.
we're like, oh, we brought all these fish back. It justifies the trip. And he's looking at the cost per pound like you could have bought that at Costco for 1/20th of what you just spent.
Right.
Right. In fact, you could have.
It's already vac sealed, and you don't have to mess with it.
You could have ordered it online. You'd never even need to leave the comfort of your own couch.
And we didn't even factor in our own time either.
Right.
Yeah.
These guys, they run businesses.
Exactly.
I'm in fisheries. That part didn't make any sense to me.
No, right. There's no cost-benefit analysis where dollars really even enters the equation when it comes to fishing.
Well, you guys touched that too, but this reminds me of a deer camp. And I never had a deer camp culture growing up, but I can appreciate it where this camp revolves 100% around fishing.
Yep.
They have almost one of the finest fleets on the island of boats. Brand new,
beautiful.
Brand new electronics. Everything on a boat works perfectly. That's a miracle. Owning a boat, that's a miracle in itself.
Right.
To run these boats. Now, the rest of the camp, fairly Spartan. Yeah, we got a place to sleep. We got some silverware and a place to clean some fish. Other than that, take your shoes off and have fun.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is like 100% a deer camp. We've kind of talked about it a couple times. It seems more like, a bunch of guys who love to fish that have a business, not a business that's about making money taking people fishing.
Yeah.
And for us as anglers, I think that's 100% in our favor.
We asked Jacob today, hey, what's the longest you've ever been on a boat? And I think he said 22 hours.
Yeah. I believe it. That's what Alex was describing to me about, when they're hunting for real big fish. And
I think the question you posed him was, have you ever stayed out over 24 hours? He's like, oh, yeah. The most recent time he can remember was this summer, 22 hours. Even
when we're out there today, we're fishing, we haven't caught anything, like after 6 or 7 hours. And we said, we got to be back by 7. He goes, you mean you have to be in the camp by 7, or you have to quit fishing at 7? It's like Robert.
He's still trying to hedge.
He's trying to negotiate. Right. Yeah, let's stay out a little longer. You know?
I'd love to be on an interview panel when they hire guides here.
Right.
What's the process like?
Yeah. Do you have any concept of time?
Yeah.
No? You'll be perfect.
Do you want to watch?
Right.
No, perfect.
Do you hate free time? We've got the job for you.
Yep. Let's fish.
What's a normal work week for you?
Oh, man.
They work 7 days a week.
I mean, it's wild. These guys love to fish.
Yeah. They don't get much time to do it.
We were on a boat yesterday with Frederick, and I grabbed one of the rods off the top, and I was casting. And he's like, "Yeah, I built that rod myself." I was like, "This is your rod?" "Oh yeah, I bought it from my roommate." And then I turned down the handle on the lathe, cut the butt off, put a new butt on it. I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
We're using the guide's equipment.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's worth a mention. You know, there's 7 boats here essentially that they run parties on 4 people at a time. So, you know, I was under the impression that quite a few people would be guided. Well, it turns out that us, which we kind of represent 2 parties, 2 boats to them, we're the only guided ones this week. When I asked them about that, it was kind of like, yeah, there's usually 1 or 2 guided parties around, so this is pretty normal, I think, from that standpoint. And, you know, if you come up here unguided, if you did it as cheaply as possible, it'd be about half of what we paid for our week here, unguided. But then you have to supply all the equipment, and they'll rent you equipment. But, you know, part of the reason we chose to have it fully guided was because then they supply all the equipment, so then we didn't have to worry about getting any of that stuff here or home. And I was kind of like, I wonder how this will be, like, you know, since they rent a lot of equipment, like, will it be pretty minimal what they actually bring on the boats? It was like every day they put more rods on the boat. And they just it's at one point I was just like, can we get rid of some of these rods? Like there's 40 rod holders in this boat and 30 of them are occupied, you know, with rods. It's crazy how much gear they had.
They just love to fish.
They love to fish.
Love to fish.
Yeah.
That's it. They fish.
You know what I'm really grateful for about this week too is that, you know, this was the destination point. This is what the plan was, and then we backed it up into another week before this in vacation time. But just to get a sense of this country, like from the southern end to the northern tip between Tromsø and here and Oslo, it's a beautiful country.
It really is. Norway is a cool place.
Yeah, it really is.
I've really enjoyed the time here, especially up here. It is. I mean, Nate alluded to it. I mean, it is a place of incredible beauty. You know, these big headland bluffs all around the island, sheer rock, and then, you know, contrasted with really kind of verdant green rolling hills. I mean, almost small mountains in places, you know, and we've seen reindeer, and I saw a ptarmigan, you know, so saw some wildlife here, but then we also, how many different marine mammals did we see this week?
A couple of different whales.
We saw orcas, humpbacks,
sperm whales,
minke whales, sperm whales, pilot whales. Did somebody see a sea otter?
Yep.
A seal? Oh, yeah, and harbor porpoises.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, just kind of an amazing abundance of life. And more jellyfish in the water than anywhere I've ever been.
I would never go in this water.
I told Robert we might go swimming today. I kind of wanted him to swim. There's a little beach here close to camp, and we knew it'd be cold and wouldn't last. But every time I walked out on the dock here, I looked down and saw at least one giant jellyfish that I thought, boy, that thing could really hurt you. And in my final analysis, I just thought, nope, I'm not going to do that today.
Good move. Yeah. Yesterday we were sitting in the boat, and I'm looking down in the water. I'm seeing, you know, these purple jellyfish, you know, with the polarized glasses you can see through, and then all the tentacles. And it was sort of like, there's no way you could swim it's jellyfish tentacles out like 8 feet, and then another jellyfish and the tentacles out. It's just covered. The entire surface was covered with jellyfish.
Right.
Well, I think last night it was, we were getting pretty amped up. We'd fished all day, and then your dad caught the 161 centimeter halibut. It was the biggest one of the trip, and things were starting to happen. Like, the rain was coming in, like, fish were biting, and I had on this bait that Robert picked out, and it was like a 40-centimeter coalfish. It was like, we should have filleted it.
Right.
But instead, we had it on for bait, and the guide even was like, we need a stinger hook. And so we tied it all up, we got a stinger hook on it. And, so you're all amped up, and I'm like, I'm getting a bite. And even Frederick came over, and he's like, boy, something's going on. And we're watching this. And so the way the halibut eat it is they come up and they eat it from the tail. They come up the fish. You know, and a big one just kind of swallows it. But sometimes it takes them a while.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of wait. And then finally he's like, you got that stinger hook on there, right? I said, yeah. Just set the hook. And I set the hook, nothing. And I realized, well, no, I'd been in a jellyfish the whole time. And then Mike did the same thing. So
exactly.
we're stuck in a jellyfish.
Yeah.
So big. You're feeling them on the line.
Yeah. But just, I don't know, it just feels like such a wild place.
It's wild. Neil kept falling asleep. Otherwise, we went up to the hill and saw the Northern Lights.
No.
Missed them.
Northern Lights.
I see them every night. You get up at 2 a.m, the sun's still there. Northern Light.
Yeah, Northern Light.
Yeah.
Well, I am ready for a night's sleep where it gets dark. I will say that.
I think I've got to go get. I've never done the DNA testing, but I think I must be related to these Swedes.
Yeah,
they don't sleep.
No, you're not normal. You function on 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
All daylight, I'm like, oh yeah, it's time. When you guys canceled the boat, I was like, well, maybe I could book them for the second half of the day then, and then once we get back at 7, we go back out. We don't come back till 7 a.m. for the
fish all night.
Well, I was gonna drop me off at the airport with the boat.
Hey, would you guys mind bringing my bags over?
Yeah, throw the bags in the drive.
There you go.
Drop Emerson and I off at the airport there.
Well, any closing thoughts? Anything to add?
Before I come next time, I'm going to practice up on leg wrestling, but other than that, it's
been there is a story for another time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to thank you, Mike, for organizing this. I mean, we joke a lot about you being a planner and liking to plan, but you started this process 18 months ago, I think.
Well, thanks.
And you did a great job of being patient with all of the crazy characters involved and pulling it together and making it run smoothly. So thanks.
Well, thank you. I've really appreciated everybody's company, you three, and obviously Dad.
But not Zach.
Zach, well, and I mean, really, everybody.
We needed a fish doctor to come along.
Yeah,
and a hiccup doctor. He did cure hiccups.
Oh, did
he did do that?
Yeah, there you go.
Cured hiccups. The doctor was in.
No, and even Emmy and Robert. It's just fun to be around young people doing this stuff. So, and really, before we go, just such a big thanks to the guides here. We had a chance to fish, I think, with 4 different guides this week, and they were all great. Frederick, Jacob, Oscar, and Andreas, they were all good when we fished with them, top notch, and I would absolutely fish with any of them again for a week. So it's been super fun. Thanks again for joining the trip, guys, and
thank you.
I can't wait to plan the next adventure.
When will that be?
Soon. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. Well, that wraps up the fishing for our week at Camp Halibut. Poppy's 161 centimeter fish held the record for the trip. So pretty awesome experience all in all. And, I really particularly am grateful to Friedrich, Jacob, Andreas, and Oscar, who were the guides that we fished with at Camp Halibut on this trip. All fantastic guys, and I would absolutely relish the opportunity to get in a boat with any one of them again. Those guys work so hard and fished so long for us. It was just amazing, and they all do other fishing too. So I'd encourage you to look them up and to check out Camp Halibut. We're also grateful to Alex for his help getting everything organized. He kind of keeps a show running there at Camp Halibut, and things are just fantastic. What an amazing experience. So we'll be back again with one last Norway episode before we start fall hunting stuff. And in that episode, we're kind of just going to wrap up the experience, reflect on what we did, talk a little bit about, some suggestions for what folks might do if they're going, and ideas we've had should we ever get the opportunity to go again. But as always, I'm so thankful for all of you that are listening to these podcasts. Thanks a million for doing it. And we're gonna keep on making them. So keep an eye out for all of our content. You can find us on the web at www.outdoorrules.com. As always, on Instagram at Outdoor Rules. We got a Facebook page too. And most of all, we would really, really love to hear from you. And the very best way to get a hold of us is outdoorrules@gmail.com. So until next week, thanks for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor rules.